The winds of magic are the powerful and invincible currents of raw energy that flow into the world. This ancient, interdimensional force is a form of harness-able, emotionally inflected energy that can be used by a skilled practitioner, such as a wizard or spellcaster, to manipulate and alter the very fabric of the natural world. These capable wizards are taught to harness one of the winds of magic to their will, or they learn the dangerous act themselves. They dedicate many long years, sometimes decades, to study large arcane tomes, mysterious scrolls, forbidden books, or worse. But such power is not wielded lightly. To lose control of this arcane power for even a second is to invite disaster. A miscast caused by a distraction or a misplaced syllable can result in a wizard accidentally immolating himself, along with any unfortunates who happen to be standing nearby. A momentary lapse of concentration might even tear reality apart and open a portal to the realm of chaos, in which the wizard could be sucked through. None are aware of this danger more than the spellcasters themselves. And so, while a frontline soldier risks his own life in battle, a wizard's gamble is far more dangerous, as he risks the eternal torment of his soul if he is to fail. In this episode, we will talk about the greatest spellcasters and wizards in the world of Warhammer. Katarin Bokha, the descendant of ancient Khan queens, daughter of Tsar Boris Bokha the Great, is the most powerful ice witch alive. The land underneath her feet comes alive with her presence, and even great wings of the Bokha Palace sprung up suddenly, made entirely of glacial ice, made by her will. Her father, mighty bear rider and ruler of men, died in battle in the year 2517 of the imperial calendar, leaving Katarin to take the throne at an early age. A huge responsibility. But not only did she survive, she thrived. Border disputes with the nearby provinces of the Empire are not uncommon, as ambitious elector counts seek to encroach on rightful Kislevite land. Threats from within, such as overly ambitious nobles, known as boyars, are fairly frequent as well. Disputes between ethnic groups from inside the nation itself as Kislev are also some of the problems the Ice Queen has to deal with, as Kislev is also home to many tribes of men. But from her ice palace, Katarin rules with an iron grip over her land and commands respect from her subjects and allies. Powerful mage in her own right, a stubborn governor and cold woman, the Ice Queen watches over Kislev. Ice magic is fueled by the sentient spirit of the land of Kislev itself. Indeed, an ancient enemy of the Chaos Gods. The Tsarina is said to have the vast majority of her country backing her, so it is that her powers and influence can encompass such large swathes of land. She rules with such determination and ferocity that even a great war, headed by the terrible orc beast known as Grimgor Ironhide, is forced to head back to their filthy lairs, driven mad by the sheer boredom of fighting a powerful snowstorm that the Queen had summoned.
Steady your hearts, brothers and sisters of Kislev. The motherland protects. Embrace her, and we will see victory!
Katarin Bokha sees the world as a great game of icy chess, leading her nation through agents and generals, from the back lines, rather than through raw might. Even so, she is respected by both Ungles and Gospodars as an ancient Ice Witch warrior of old, and even allies from faraway lands recognize her mighty presence. Everything from Wissenlander pike companies and esoteric knightly orders to small throngs of adventurous dwarves from the mountain realms come to her aid, bolstering her already significant military. In truth, if the need arises, she will not hesitate to lead her armies into the gates of hell itself. She may not be the most charismatic leader of Kislev, that honor would go to her late father, but she too brings forth aid from multiple nations when she rides to battle. In the instances where the powerful queen participates in battle personally, she is followed by a special regiment of bodyguards known as the Ice Guard, a fearsome unit of all woman warriors that wield magical weapons, all imbued with the powers of ice magic. Without hesitation, each and every one of them would face even greater demons for their mistress. That is, if the Ice Queen herself doesn't banish them first. The Winged Watchers, the Eyes of Tzeentch, the Feathered Lords. The Lords of Change are the greatest and most powerful spellcasters of all demonkind. These bird demons, servants of the Changer of Ways, are unpredictable at best and manipulative in their vile plotting. And among them all, Kairos Fateweaver, the Oracle of Tzeentch, the Keeper of the Destiny Scrolls, the Mocking Watcher, is the most powerful. Kairos has infallible knowledge of both the past and the future, meaning he knows every spell in existence, of what there was and what there will be, and can intuit every action before it is even conceived. Fateweaver gained his gift by clawing his way back from the Well of Eternity, a vast depository of all of the knowledge and creation that lies at the heart of the impossible fortress. The citadel in constant flux, made of pure magic, home of the Chaos Lord Tzeentch. After spending years upon years within its depths, Kairos can now see things that are hidden even to Tzeentch himself. Kairos has razed towns and has slaughtered thousands of Bretonnians and elves alike, playing adversaries against one another in a great game of deceit and villainous machinations. Being the most powerful spellcaster among demonkind, he was, is, and will be the right hand of Tzeentch, being sent from the impossible fortress in service of a dire task, be it the recovery of a significant magical artifact, the predestined destruction of an army, or some ineffable dark purpose, with whispers of destiny constantly echoing in his mind. Said to be the first of the Slann mage priests spawned upon the world, defender of Itza, deliverer of Itza, venerable Lord Kroak. The first of the Slann mage priests spawned upon the world, the eldest of the fabled first generation. The ancient and unimaginably powerful Old One, Tepok, taught Kroak of the winds of magic, and Potek taught him the secrets of the threads of time. Lord Kroak was one among many of the legendary First Spawning who participated in the time known as the Great Catastrophe, the cataclysmic event where a tear between the rifts of space and time was formed, and chaos flowed like a frothing river upon the world. City after fortress city fell to the demonic hordes, setting their eyes on Itza, the first city, and heart of the lizard men's arcane defenses. But Lord Kroak created a powerful energy barrier that crackled with raw power. Demons turned to dust as they assaulted the city. However, after years of constant strain, Lord Kroak could sustain such magical energies no longer, and with a final surge of power, he exploded the barrier outwards in a wave of tremendous force which flattened the jungle surrounding the city. 100,000 demons were banished back to the realms of chaos in an instant, creating a brief space of relative peace. But the remaining horde eventually regrouped and swarmed into Itza. Lord Kroak and his army of Temple Guard prevented the demons from overrunning the Great Pyramid by defending the Bridge of Stars. The Temple Guards fought as he channeled his final reservoirs of energy, preparing his final incantations. As the last of his guard was cut down, Lord Kroak conjured forth a raining fire from the heavens that vaporized the demon kind. Time stood still and stopped flowing as the fabric of the universe strained under the immense outpouring of sheer power. In the end, a dozen bloodthirsters, protected by the dark god Kor, fought through the deluge of magical devastation and reached the top of the pyramid, tearing Lord Kroak apart in a savage act. However, this was not the end. Lord Kroak was so overcharged by magical energies that even death did not hinder him. Set free of his flesh, his radiant spirit soared above the battlefield and shone a radiant light upon the demonic horde, annihilating them with the glow of a second sun. The first city was saved. Although his body is a withered husk, preserved in funeral wrappings, Kroak's spirit is unbelievably strong. The fact that he can still enact his will upon the world, even ages after his physical death, is a testament to his power. It is also written in the tapestries of time that it was he and his peers that taught the first ancestors of the elves how to wield magic. His indomitable spirit and great sacrifice saw him become the first of the relic priests, living on after his death. Lord Kroak is said to be fated to endure until the last moment of the universe itself, closing the great cycle of the beginning and the end.
Amid the darkness and horror of a world splintering apart, the armies of the true creators, we who were ancient at the dawn of time, will march forth once more. We shall sweep away all that is chaos and disorder, for ours is the true path, and none shall defy us.
As the ruler of the great solar city of the lizard men, High Slan Mage Priest of Hexawatl, Mazdamundi, is the oldest and most powerful Slan priest that still lives. He was a student of Lord Kroak himself, and the staunchest supporter of the Great Plan. He has lived for many centuries, and during that time he has read every scrap of available knowledge the lizard men have recorded in their ancient plaques. He has also spent many decades at a time in deep contemplation, attempting to see the great plan traced by the Old Ones, and deduce how best to carry it out. Instructed by Lord Kroak himself at the dawn of creation, he was one of the many Slan mages who fought in the Great Catastrophe, when the realms of chaos spewed chaotic energies and demons into the material world. His physical body was attended to and protected against anything that came too close during the chaos invasions of the Great Catastrophe by the many guardians and inhabitants of the temple city of Hexawatl. Titanic battles were fought during those times, pitching thousands of lizard men against unending hordes of demons of all shapes and forms. Mazdamundi wields incredible magical power. He has been granted insight into what the future may hold through his many decades of contemplation, as well as his adherence to the Great Plan. His raw magical power alone makes him worthy of respect. Ah, the great Lord of Dragons. Caledor Dragontamer was one of the greatest mages of his age, and the closest friend and confidant of the Phoenix King Anarian of Ulthuan during the terrible times of the first Great Chaos Incursion. He was a masterful enchanter, and he was one of the first among the elves to recognize Anarian as the chosen champion of the Azurian. Caledor's brilliant mind and unmatched prowess with magic allowed him to create the great weapons at the Anvil of Vol, as well as Anarian's impenetrable dragon armor. The great weapons would then go to the future princes of Ulthuan, signifying their importance and power in the world. Others struggled to see the world as Caledor did, even causing a falling out with his friend Anarian when he urged him not to draw the Sword of Cain when fighting the returned forces of chaos. Caledor foretold that the drawing of the sword would cause great sorrow to the Azure and to all of Anarian's line. He could see beyond the immediate power of such an artifact, and the heavy cost it bore. At the Battle of the Isle of the Dead, while Anarian fought against the greatest of Chaos agents, Caledor set up a ritual to use the ancient waystones around Ulthuan and create a colossal magical vortex to drain off the chaos energy that was spilling into the world through the collapsed chaos gates at the world's poles. This would prevent demons from being able to easily manifest in their physical forms and halt their assault on the elves and the rest of the world. Unfortunately, the cost of this magical spell was so great that he and the rest of the mages of Ulthuan sacrificed themselves to conjure the great vortex. But in a twisted joke of the gods, for their success in having saved the world, Caledor and the High Elf mages were trapped in the vortex, unable to die, but stuck in an eternal imprisonment made of pure, raw magical energy. He remains there to this day, constantly feeding the greatest spell ever used against the gods of chaos, slowing down their timeless assault on the world. Dark elves are no strangers to the use of dark magic, and it is no folly of judgment. Amongst mortals, their seat is undisputed at the thrones of spellcasting. Many could be counted amongst the users of this powerful form of magic, but one stands taller than the rest. Morathi, mother of Malekith, the Witch King, undoubted ruler of the dark arts, and once the bride of Anarian the Defender. She is one of the most renowned and feared sorcerers in the Warhammer world. Truly, the destruction that such an ancient mind can summon forth is nigh unheard of. She has made otherworldly pacts with numerous evil and frightening enemies, and she has a reputation of utterly crushing anybody who stands in her way. With magical powers rivaling that of the most powerful mages and spellcasters from other races, she has demonstrated her mastery over her sorcery time and time again during her many centuries of wars and confrontations. To look upon Morathi is to fret being forever enamored by her looks, for she is really good looking, and she uses this to her advantage. The foes sometimes even forgetting completely the dark soul that lies behind. And dark it is, for she can end the lives of many thanks to the destructive spells that she can unleash. With her spear-like scepter, she has been known to pluck the hearts of many combatants with the subtlest of moves. That's why her weapon is named the Heartrender. Morathi has spent her entire life plotting and planning to advance her own interests. Who can say how the history of the elves could have turned out differently if Anarian hadn't married her, and how many of his darker crimes were sown by the ideas she planted in his mind? Yet for all her beauty, she was finally spurned by the first Phoenix King, Anarian himself, because of her wicked disposition. Now her ultimate project is her son, Malekith, a powerful sorcerer on his own, to whom she has taught all that she knows about dark arts and statecraft alike. None have the supernatural determination that she has to put her son on the throne of Ulthuan. And should he perish, it would be better to burn it all to the ground than to see it in the hands of lesser beings. But perhaps the world might be a fair place, in a way, for if there is a woman such as Morathi in the world, then there must exist some kind of opposite. And that would be Ariel. Only through the direct interference of the gods does Ariel stand to rival Morathi in raw magical prowess, for she is an avatar of Isha, goddess of all that is green and grows. Together with her consort Orion, avatar of Kernus, they rule Athaloran with fists of wood and powerful magic. She is often sought out by the Wood Elves as a source of magical knowledge and power. Through her wisdom and magical expertise, she helps them understand the true power of nature, magic, and how it can be used to benefit their lives and protect the sacred forests of Athaloran.
Here, take a look. Isn't it beautiful? They don't call them magical arts for nothing, you know. Don't you see it? How the weave shapes and molds all around us. Magic is just as much an art as it is a discipline. It's not just all promises of doom, hell, or temptation. There is beauty in it. How can birthing a flower be a bad thing? How can giving rain back to a desolated land filled with starving people be corruptible? Magic is mere potential. You just need to make good out of it.
It is said that Ariel is capable of extraordinary feats, such as the ability to manipulate the forces of nature, the powers of the elements, provide divine protection even from the malevolent forces of chaos. Her powers also allow her to perform healing spells and magical transformations. But Ariel is not only capable of healing and restoring her allies, she is also a force to be reckoned with. Facing Ariel in battle is an intimidating prospect, and one that is filled with danger. She is a powerful and skilled spellcaster, and adept at using her magic to overwhelm her enemies. Her spells can range from the manipulation of the destructive forces of nature to subtle yet devastating curses and enchantments to weaken or outright kill her foes. With her rule over all under the canopy, she frightens, confuses, or simply murders would-be intruders to her gleaming realm.
All the branches you break, the leaves and vines you tread on, will rise up in anger and punish you for your insolence.
It would be a great and a terrible thing at the same time to witness Ariel. Despite her moth-like complexion, she has the nigh-sculpted face of a demi-goddess, and with her glowing wings she soars over the earth, showering it with glittering dust. It is said that her green dress, forever locked in a state of perfect cleanliness, trails away into infinity. Such is the power of an avatar of the gods themselves. Nature bends to the will of the queen. It is by her will that the forest grows, and then fades when it does, making for the cycle of life. Being thousands of years old, she has weathered everything from demon incursions, vast and terrible warherds of the savage beastmen, great wars from the battle-hungry greenskins, ignorant Bretonnian woodsmen and poachers, dwarf throngs who see the woods only as fuel for their gigantic and ever-hungry furnaces, and the list goes on and on. But Ariel has always been there to stop them. In truth, As long as she lives, so does the sacred oak of ages, so does the forest, and so do the wood elves. When the Emperor and his Elector Counts muster their armies to war, they call upon the colleges of magic for aid, and battle wizards are provided as needed, as these are a great asset for the Empire, even with all their mysteries and strange power. As the Supreme Patriarch of the Colleges of Magic, Balthasar Gelt serves as one of the advisors to Emperor Karl Franz himself. The title of Supreme Patriarch is not one that is appointed, but rather earned through a trial by magical combat. This means that he is skilled in the ways of war, as well as being a learned wizard. Gelt's preferred school of magic is that of metal, which is often called alchemy. His magical abilities are well known and well documented.
Men of the Empire! I am no warrior priest blessed with the gift of making grand speeches. I am no orator, that is true. But I am not a cold man, despite this mask, frozen in its stern aspect. What we do this day is not just some plot to gain favor for the mantle of Supreme Patriarch. No, there is much more at risk.
Little is known about the true origins of Balthasar Gelt. His character has always been surrounded by a veil of mystery that none dare to truly scrutinize. However, it is commonly accepted that he arrived in Altdorf, coming from Marienburg through a river passage he bought using fake gold he transmuted from lead ingots. Balthasar's true goal was to reach the colleges of magic. His rise through the various levels of magic training was nothing short of meteoric. One of his primary advantages is that he is not afraid to experiment with otherwise established spells and alchemical formulations. This, coupled with his own drive to achieve greater heights, makes him a powerful wizard by any measure of the word. Balthasar Gelt quickly became a great user and practitioner of the arcane arts due to his obsession with the transmutation of metals. This opened the doors for him to become worthy of trying out the Hall of Jewels. Balthasar Gelt became the Supreme Patriarch after defeating Thyrus Gorman of the Bright Order in their respective magic duel, while also becoming the youngest man to ever achieve this feat. The Supreme Patriarch is a powerful spellcaster that has been decisive in many of the Empire's battles. He rides a Pegasus across the skies and wields the legendary Staff of Volans, inflicting terror in his victims by turning them into solid gold, or converting their bones to molten iron.
The Supreme Patriarch, mightiest arcane conjurer in all of the Empire. I've witnessed his magnificence turn the tides of battle in but a frightful flick of his fingers. Such is his prowess in the molding and weaving of the winds of magic. During the Battle of Hindenhordes, I saw him kill a monstrous beast, half man, half bull, by turning its heart into pure gold. I saw the beast with my own eyes suddenly falling to the ground. Dead, its eyes lost. From that point on, it became but a matter of scattering the rest of the routing horde. Trust me, fellow brethren, with him at our side, we will not fail.
In the year 2516 of the imperial calendar, Theodoric Gosser, the Elector Count of the province of Nordland, wanted to expand his territory and had Hochland in his sight. The Empire stood at the brink of civil war. The Emperor personally asked Balthasar Gelt to intervene in this delicate situation. The Supreme Patriarch then travelled to Nordland's capital, Castle Salzamund, as an ambassador of the Emperor himself. Once there, Balthasar secretly transmuted the gold that was going to be used to pay Gosser's armies and mercenaries into worthless lead. Overnight, the power that the Elector Count held over his hired swords and his companies of mercenaries had faded. The men refused to march to war without their agreed payment. Nordland's army was no good, and they had no choice but to recede in their ambitions. As the guards searched for the supreme patriarch within the castle, Balthasar had already returned to Altdorf atop his mighty Pegasus. A bloody civil war was averted, but Theodoric Gosse has sworn he will have Balthasar's head in revenge. Needless to say, the Elector Count never got his revenge over the patriarch. High Lawmaster of Hoeth, Warden of the White Tower, one of the greatest and most powerful elven sorcerers the world has ever known. His twin brother, Tyrion, the proclaimed defender of Ulthuan, is a cunning general and masterful warrior, while Teclis is a master in all arts and forms of magic. Perhaps second only to the legendary Caledor Dragontamer himself, few can match Teclis and his magical ability. His magical knowledge is broad as well as deep. He has had centuries to perfect his craft, and he is a sorcerous force to be reckoned with. Teclis faced with the Witch King of Nagaroth at the Battle of Finneval. Nagaroth's Dark Master had perfected the evil sorceress arts over many years, and it showed as lightning streaked across the torn, darkening skies. Clouds gathered with potent energy, capable of stripping mortals to the bone, were buffeted away by magical winds. From atop a blasted hilltop, the Witch King matched Teclis at each turn, spell for spell. This happened until Teclis invoked the power of Lilith. His staff glowed and pulsed with a throbbing torrent of energy as the goddess surged power into him. He sculpted the magic into one bolt of titanic power and unleashed it upon Malekith. The Witch King desperately tried to evade the attack, but could not. The blast descended upon him and burnt away his soul, and rekindled the Asuryan's judgment that he had once suffered. To avoid a final and certain death, Malekith cast himself into the realms of chaos in a desperate move to escape. Without their leader, the Dark Elves continued their attack, but were unfocused. Teclis rained down spell after spell onto the hordes of enemies, causing utter carnage as his brother, Tyrion, cut through their ranks like a ship ripping through waves. The Dark Elf army fell to Teclis' arcane barrage, solidifying his place as the true superior mage of the elven race. Teclis' legend will endure long after the heroes of might have been long forgotten, for his actions have not shaped a battle, nor even a campaign, but has shaped the future of the world itself. It was him who taught the humans how to harness the winds of magic for themselves, and the great colleges of magic know Teclis as one of the foundational stones upon which it stands. Also known as the Great Necromancer, the Undying King, the Great Betrayer, Nagash is the creator of the black arts of necromancy and death made manifest into the world. He was the one that damned all the glorious lands of Nehekara into the dead desert it is today. As the most powerful of all the lords of the undead, Nagash can unleash terrible spells that are capable of draining the life of all the living beings it touches. The secrets of his magical spells are recorded in 9 massive tomes known as the 9 Books of Nagash. Each book contains the secrets of one of Nagash's necromantic spells, powerful incantations that allow the followers of the dark arts to raise and control the undead and bind them to their will. Although he was once human, Nagash's long use of Warpstone to enhance his powers has transformed him to a creature more akin to a demon than any living thing. His withered body moves out of pure will and dark sorcery, wielding weapons so huge that no man, no matter how strong he is able to even lift them. There is beyond this eternity another, an existence all of its own. It is dark as the mortal mind is dark, deep as the mortal heart is deep. This realm is sustained by the self. It is a spiritual plane made up of the thoughts and feelings, needs and beliefs of all knowing races, the highborn and the low things that walk the world with the aim of it being their own. It gives back in the form of energies that leak into our world and are harnessed by the gifted in the form of magic and its many refractions. Entities beyond understanding inhabit this dark realm of spiritual energy, this sea of soul fire. They are the behemoths and great monsters of the depths, although our seven seas together are but a teardrop in the dry, dark ocean of the beyond. There they endure, drunk on power, bitter with impotence, curdling in the malefic nightmare of their own existence.
I give my body, heart, and soul to the lady whom I seek. No plea for help shall find me wanting. No obstacle will stand before me.
Morgiana Le Fay, also known as the Fey Enchantress, brings with her the words of the Lady of the Lake, her prerogatives and her magical prowess, and with every word that she mutters, she transcends ordinary institutions of powers. Her wise counsel is above the dukes, and even the kings listen to her. It is said that she is the most powerful person in Bretonnia, since she acts as the Lady of the Lake's direct representative. The Grail Knights, considered by many to be most powerful of all riders of the old world, obey her every whim, and her oath sworn to follow her into death and beyond. Her seldom doubted beauty, rivaled only, perhaps, by Lucretia Belladonna of Tyria, although it is best not to speak of the matter or risk setting off a duel or two. She is known to give her favor to knights at special occasions, and sometimes personally guides them into the end of their quests. Knights that gain her favor vow to never again flee from battle. If that vow is broken, the knight suffered dire consequences. Counted amongst the very few humans to ride a magical unicorn, Morgiana is indeed never unaccompanied. In the darkest times, through the grimmest of battles, a retinue of legendary Grail Knights, the Grail Guardians, move alongside her, and they are known to slaughter the enemies of the Lady with such fervor that even their skeletons hold holy power after their undoubtedly glorious deaths.
Take solace in the Lady's shining grace for victory! We work covertly. As Isha looks from upon high, so shall we look down on these mortal puppets by taking the higher ground. Now, away, my host! Begin the toil!
Alarielle the Radiant is the Ever-Queen of the Elves and the current ruler of Ulthuan. Being the 11th of her kind to rule, Alarielle bestows upon the title of Ever-Queen the grace that only a chosen priest of Isha could. By many accounts, she has put even gods to tears with her delightful visage. When happiness strikes her, The skies gleam with golden sunbeams and cotton-white clouds. When anger smites her, the ground quakes, and the sun hides beneath a dark canopy of storm clouds. Such is her skill and affinity with high magic, and such is her favor with the gods. She is known for her courage and wisdom, and for her dedication to protecting the people of the realms, and it is for this reason that her presence brings hope and encouragement to those around her. Alarielle has led the High Elves through great catastrophes never before dreamt of, save for the Great War against Chaos. Malekith himself, the King of the Dark Elves, has invaded Ulthuan on more than one occasion during her rule. Through all tribulations, she has led the High Elves. Alarielle is able to bind enemies in magical prisons and break curses that have been placed upon her warriors. She has used her powers to protect her people from not only the Dark Elves, but from other forces of darkness that threaten Ulthuan and its inhabitants, and this has only strengthened her reputation among her followers. Her presence has a calming effect on those around her, even in the face of danger and war. It is believed that she is able to commune with the spirit world, granting her knowledge and insight far beyond the understanding of mere mortals. This allows the Everqueen to know of any invader's movements and swiftly act upon them. Servant of life and light, she is fundamentally opposed to all forms of corruption, including that of her own courts. Her mere look, the mere glimpse of her golden hair, throws those filled with corruption into tantrum spirals and banishes the foul-hearted, including demons. Such is her light that it rivals the very sun, and with it she drives High Elves into courageous acts around her. Truthfully, and unlike some of the previous Everqueens, Alarielle makes time to personally lead great armies into war. For the sake of all that is good and wholesome, does she hide her hatred of violence in all of its forms.
Maybe I will make an example out of you. Maybe it's time for the true masters of this earth to take hold of their destiny. Break the hands at their tether. We shall no longer witness the hanged, mangled, and rotting remains of our brothers and sisters in full display at every town's gate. I shall no longer have my nostrils filled by the stench of their charred bodies in every city's center. I shall no longer have to hide what makes me unique, what makes me more than you will ever be. Wizard kind shall inherit civilization, and our offspring will one day look back at their parents and predecessor in awe and admiration. For we would have brought the dawning of a new era, and through hail, hell, or high water, maybe not even through me or my lifetime, but that day will come, and if I can have any say in the matter, the age of magic begins today.
To partake in such discipline, a student must be resilient, alert at all times, and most of all, humble. Differently from what fame and vicious tongues may tell in the wake of some of our most prominent magisters' deeds. Here at the colleges of magic we allow no braggarts, pig-headed fools, and definitely no self-built heroes. You have all been chosen by great powers, that is true. But make no mistake, it wasn't but an accident. Even the most eagle-eyed hunter at the service of our Excellence's court, the Emperor, wouldn't be able to peer even the smallest crumb of greatness amongst you. Power, the same power you have in you, the same power that makes you oh so special won't make you great. No, that is what will eat away at you, a morsel at a time, until nothing is left. Power, The temptation of power is something that will never leave you. It will gnaw at the edges of your mind forever, until your very last thought before leaving this mortal soil. I am here to make so that such burden won't crush you before the due time. And for those who don't feel its weight yet, well, I doubt I'll be seeing your fair visages at next year's Grobestreffen. The reunion adjourns. We hope you've enjoyed this lore presentation. If you want to learn more about the fantastic world of Warhammer Fantasy, consider checking out this video, where we explore the different factions and leaders that are the rulers of the old world. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.